Okay, it's time for my next special guest feature, and he's no stranger to the show. I'd like to welcome back. It's great to hear your voice again, Ian Donaldson. Welcome.
Thanks, Danny. Nice to be back on again. How are you?
I'm good. How's yourself?
I'm okay.
That's
Just
good.
day at a time.
Yeah,
Day at a time.
that's good. I know you like to keep busy, so it's good to be occupied with various
Yes.
projects. That's good. And we're
So
just saying before we were coming on 3 months since we last talked. It doesn't feel like 3 months, does it?
it doesn't at all. As we were talking about, it's like time is slowed down or
Mm,
speeded up. I'm not sure which one it is on any given day, but it does feel different. I'm actually looking out the window. I live in a tenement in Glasgow. And I'm looking out and I can feel the kind of it's quite palpable the kind of the pressure in the air out there. I
mm.
think that everybody's feeling it one way or another.
Yeah, I don't think the weather wants to make its mind up.
No, no, it's not. But spring's on the way.
Yeah,
We've always got to kind of like hope for the best, haven't
yeah.
we?
Yes, they always say there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Okay,
And and you just
nevertheless,
hope. The thing is, Danny, you just hope that that light at the end of the tunnel isn't an oncoming train. That's the
yeah,
difference,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
People don't think about that, do they? Anyway, we're here to talk about what you've been up to.
Yeah,
I know you celebrated your birthday recently. How was that?
it was unusual. I'm not a big party goer. I'm not really kind of showbiz, if you like. But so just my wife and my daughter, and we had a great time. We had a takeaway meal. We had some drinks, loads of cake, and then we watched Dark Shadows.
Oh,
The movie with uh, Johnny Depp.
yeah,
He plays a vampire, 200-year-old vampire. It was a strange day, but it kind of seemed to make sense. So yeah, that's me 62 now. Can't
yeah.
believe it.
Oh, very pleasant though. And am I right? Your birthday's just before Burns night. That's very fitting.
It, it is before the great poet.
Oh,
That's
that's good.
absolutely right. He's the 25th. Yeah,
Okay, and now last time we spoke, obviously you were promoting and launching Mirrorball, and you got onto the Heritage Charts, top 20. And how was it? The
yes. I went
whole,
up to.
yeah, sorry, how was the whole experience and the reaction from the public?
Do you know it was brilliant because it got to number 17, and
Mm,
you're in Mirrorball's in there with Paul McCartney and Bruce Springsteen and Tapau and all sorts of people, and for it to get that far up the chart, it was a dream come true. It was like the old days when we used to listen when we were making records. You would actually find out on Tuesday afternoon where it was called the midweek figure, and you'd have a good idea about whether your record was going to go up or go down because the record company had got some sort of idea from sales, but. Sunday night, as usual, um, like sitting there like a teenager again,
yeah,
wondering where your record is or where your David Bowie record is or
yeah,
Mott the Hoople, whoever you liked.
yeah.
It's fantastic.
That's
Lovely.
great. And you got to number 17. I was actually listening. Actually, had my fingers crossed for you. You know,
Thank you.
but yeah, 17 is good. Good number as well. 17's
It
been
is.
quite a lucky number. And
Well, it's funny you said that because that's what Starman got to number 17 and Love Me Do, the first
yeah,
Beatles record, got to 17 and Dream to Sleep got to 17 as well.
great. And since my last interview, I had a comment from a lady called Annabelle. She says you were the first ever pop star she ever saw in concert with Kachagugu, and she just likes to say she really likes what you do and your music.
Ah, Annabelle, if you're listening, that was a long time ago now, but the memories are still there for me as well. I'm really pleased you enjoyed it. I hope you're doing well.
Great. And that's one thing people can't take away the memories.
No,
That's great.
no.
And in my last interview, people can listen to my previous interview where Danny Sun interviews in Donaldson. I didn't really touch on your kind of solo career. Am I right that you did have released a cover version in 1987 called "The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore"?
I did. That's right. The Walker Brothers
Yeah.
song. That's correct. Yeah, yeah, I did.
The sun ain't gonna shine anymore. The moon ain't gonna rise in the sky. The tears are always blotting your eyes when you're without love. Yeah.
That did okay. It didn't do top 40,
Mm,
but it got loads of radio play, and I got a lovely note. The guy that produced and recorded the final H2O single, Blue Diamond. He's a guy that really worked with Scott Walker from about 87 till his death. And he let Scott Walker hear my version of The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore, and actually sent me a little note saying, "Hi Ian, digging your version, cool stuff, Ian, Scott," and which I've always kept.
Yeah.
Which I thought, that's to me, that was because he's one of my heroes as well.
Yeah.
So that was a nice thing. But yeah, it was a strange time. We thought try something different. Didn't quite do it. Record label decided to move on, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming up to a year now since Scott passed away, March the 22nd.
Yes.
And the song as well in question, it kind of suits your voice. You kind of got a baritone voice.
Yeah.
Kind of same range. That was a good choice. And quite a few 80s artists during that time were inspired by Scott Walker. I know Mark Allman's, Say Hello, Wave Goodbye. Mark Allman went to Dave Ball and says, "Can you do me a song on the lines of a Scott Walker song?" And he produced and wrote Say Hello, Wave Goodbye.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely a generation, even David Bowie looks like Scott Walker.
Yeah.
In fact, they dated the same girl, and he actually said later on he was a little bit jealous of Scott Walker's voice, which I thought was kind of, that was quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think, a thing to say, like a great artist like himself. But yeah, if you listen to those records that people made in the kind of early 80s, mid 80s, I think we were all kind of influenced by Scott Walker somewhere along the line.
I know Midge Ure, he went solo after Ultravox and released No Regrets as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good version again.
Yeah. And I didn't touch with you on my previous interview about the Four Good Men, the band you formed after you kind of went your own way of H2O.
Yeah, I've been working. I've been really doing a lot of studio work up until that point, producing people, writing songs for other people, and just a chance meeting, and the idea of Four Good Men was born. So it was Derek Forbes and Mike McNeil from Simple Minds, and
was it the Big Country, the band member? From
Big Country guitarist, yes, Bruce Watson, Big Country, and we had Robbie Williams, drummer as well, and we did all the hits, and we did a couple of H2O songs. We did some Big Country songs and some Simple Minds songs as well. Toured America and Canada, went to Europe, did some recordings. It was good fun for a while, it really was.
Yeah, you've had quite an extensive CV. I bet sometimes you forget what you've actually done in your illustrious career.
I sometimes do as well. It's nice when people remind me, because I don't often kind of go back the way, because I just think you've only got, seriously, I just think you've got today and what's the latest thing you're going to do. But it's lovely having those memories, but I like to do new things as well.
Cool. And you have an interesting story to tell me. Am I right? You come across some unseen footage at all? A video reel tape of a music video?
Yes. After Dream to Sleep, the next record that we put out with RCA was Just Outside of Heaven. So they decided to make a kind of spend a lot of money and make a really decent video. So we went to Shepperton Studios for the day, and it was a 23-hour day. I remember we just kind of worked constantly, and it was only shown a couple of times on TV, and then it was never seen again. And I was going through a cupboard at home, and I found a box, and I found a 1-inch reel, a pneumatic tape, but nobody had it. I rang around, and nobody had the machine that played on. It was a specific machine that you needed, and they stopped making them at the late 80s. So eventually I found a place called Stanley's in London, and I sent it down to them, and they digitized it and sent me it back again. And that became, a bit of a find. So I put that up about a year ago, and then somebody rediscovered it a couple of months ago. So it's nice for it to be out there again. It's part of what happened.
Yeah. Things like that interest me. Like, with Doctor Who, all those lost episodes. And then it's like serendipity. You just having a look through your old loft or attic, and you come across that, and you think, wow, eureka.
It is. It's a great feeling, because people wanted to see it as well. In fact, a couple of the band hadn't seen it at all. They hadn't even seen it on TV. So when I sent it to Pete Keane was the guitarist in H2, and I sent it to him, that was the first time he'd seen it. So, it's a smile. It's great to have a smile on your face, isn't it?
Yeah. And of course, on to present day now. You have a a new upcoming release called How Beauty Sounds. What does the song
Yes.
reflect? I know in the video you got nature and the great outdoors.
Well, it does. My friend, a friend I hadn't seen for like 35, nearly 40 years, Jeff Bernstein, he was in a band from Dunfermline who supported the Skids and Big Country in the early days. He was in a band called White China, and he was the keyboards player. Since then, he's become a classical composer. So he writes for theatre and TV and film. And we just got chatting by accident about maybe 2 months ago on Facebook. And I said it'd be nice to do something together. So he sent me a piece of music, which is the basis that you hear on Beauty Sounds. I said, what could you do with that? So it took a little bit of time to figure it out. But it's such a beautiful track that I thought I needed to come up with something that kind of that kind of complemented that. And I thought, overall, this is how beauty sounds. It was it's kind of play on words, I suppose, as well. But I just wanted to make something, and so did Jeff, something that just was kind of really powerfully beautiful. And every time I listened to it, and when I was working on it, I just kept on thinking I was Judy Garland. So that for me, when I listen to it, it's a bit like a male Judy Garland. Maybe nobody else hears that, but I do. It's a kind of like a 40s throwback over this kind of strange soundscape. So it was great fun to do, and I'm just glad that it's out now. It's going to be a bit Marmite for some people, I think, because it's so different from what either of us had done before. But, David Bowie was always taking chances, so I'm good with that.
That's good. Very contrasting to Mirrorball, but as you say, it's always good to try, experiment new sounds. And in places, your voice kind of reminds me of Glenn Gregory from, do you know, Heaven 17, which is...
Yeah, well, do you know, he's another one that listened to Bowie and Phil Oakey and all sorts of people. I think we've all kind of got a similar kind of... He's got an unusual voice because his voice is a baritone, but he's also got tenor qualities as well, because when he was doing the stuff with Holy Holy, he was doing the David Bowie stuff with Woody Woodmansey and Tony Visconti. He sang those Bowie songs really well, and Bowie had a kind of tenor voice, although he had this incredible baritone as well. I take that as a compliment. That's lovely.
Yeah, it is. I mean that well, and... I listened to Glenn Gregory's version of The Associates' Party Fears 2. It's kind of a tribute to the late Billy Mackenzie, and that really showcases his voice, really. So good. And into February now, what do you like about this month on the light note? On the lighter note?
The lighter, really, that's it. I think it gets lighter earlier and it stays lighter longer.
True.
And I think that the quality of the light changes as well. It's a kind of... It's more transparent. I mean, I know that might sound a bit ridiculous, but it seems when you get into autumn, the air seems quite thick when you look through it, but it seems kind of lighter now. I really enjoy that. That's a godsend when that starts to happen.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, thanks, Ian Donaldson, for a little catch-up with you again, and we're going to get your new single on the airwaves right now.
That is brilliant. So, as always, Danny, great to speak to you, and look after yourself.
Likewise.